Hi guys, this is Komal and welcome to my channel Urban Hobby Gardener. Today I'm going to show you how I grow my own cilantro plants from coriander seeds. Now you can also try growing your cilantro plants from cuttings, but I find it's a lot easier to grow these from seeds. And as part of this multi-part series, I'm going to show you how you can start your own plant with store-bought seeds. Now you can see I've already started a batch here, which I planted about 2-3 weeks back, and if I take you in closer to a few of the leaves, you'll see that the the initial growth on these plants. So if I take you if I focus on the plant behind, the initial leaves look nothing like your usual cilantro plant, but as the leaf starts maturing, they start taking the shape that we're a lot more familiar with. Now, a quick FAQ for you, in case you didn't know about this. While the seeds are called coriander, the plant itself is actually called cilantro. Alright, so now let me show you what the process is and how you can get your seeds ready, how you can sow them, and how you can start your own plant. Now here are my coriander seeds, which you can get from a spice shop or your local grocery store, and it's quite easy starting your plant literally from these seeds. Okay, now as you can see here, I have soaked my coriander seeds here. Now these have been in here for about 48 hours. Typically I only soak them for 24 hours, but because I'm using store-bought seeds that are a little bit on the older side, I decided to give it a bit of a longer soaking session. But don't give it, don't let it sit in water for more than 48 hours, because otherwise they will start molding, and you don't want that. You cannot plant those seeds. This process of soaking the seeds is actually called priming, and there are two reasons why we do this process. Number one, as you can see, there are some seeds that are floating on the water, and there are some that are already that have sunk to the bottom. The ones at the top, they're not really good quality because they're quite lightweight, whereas the ones at the bottom of the bowl, they're nice, good, healthy, dense seeds. So those are the ones that I will be planting. So priming, helps me identify, whether there are any kind of good seeds in the batch that I'm about to sow. The other good thing about priming is that it actually gives your seeds a head start. Okay, so with the coriander seeds, they obviously have a much harder, like a harder outer coating. Okay, and for your plant to develop, it needs to break down this outer hard coating first and then start growing. Okay, so by soaking your seeds in water, you're actually helping that process. You are going to, give it a bit of a head start, and it speeds up the germination process. Another thing you can do to speed up your germination process is actually crush these seeds, but only ever so lightly. Okay, you don't want to break the seed inside, and you're just giving it a bit of a gentle tap, okay, to kind of expose that seed a bit more, like the one we have here. Now this is obviously not a seed that I have soaked, but you can do these to the seeds that you have soaked as well. Now I will be growing my cilantro plant in a pot. As you can see, I have some soil in it already, which I have moistened up a little bit already. Okay, but I'm going to give it some more watering. I've already watered it about twice, and I'm going to water it a little bit more. Now, cilantro is a plant that doesn't like to be transplanted, which means once you sow it, it doesn't like to be moved around quite a fair bit. So I'm going to start, instead of choosing a very little pot for my coriander project, I am actually just going to grow it straight in the pot that I want to. And for that reason, I'm not using a seed raising mix, and I'm directly using a potting mix. Now, before I actually start planting, I am going to give my soil a good soak. Okay, and I'm going to keep soaking this in, in regular intervals before I actually sow my seeds. Now, one thing I guess, as part of this my first part series on growing your own cilantro. This is the phase 1 of the video, which covers mainly the germination process. I should have mentioned that, coriander or cilantro is actually a cool weather plant. So you'd ideally want to start this in autumn, okay? So you can try doing this in about mid-autumn. We are towards late autumn right now, but as you can see, my cilantro batches are still performing quite well. So I'm hoping the second one will do the same. For the seeds to germinate, it needs about, obviously it needs, plenty of sunlight, and it's a nice sunny autumn day today, even though it's quite cold, but it needs roughly about 15 to 20 degrees Celsius for the seeds to germinate, all right? So try not to grow your cilantro plants in the kind of middle of winter, but start them, plan it ahead, start it in winter. If you have the space, start your cilantro batches indoors, but if you don't, you can start it outdoors the way I'm doing it. And but make sure that your plant is well protected, okay? Because as these seeds start maturing, you'll get birds that want to eat it. You'll probably get like snails or slugs that want to get at it. So make sure you protect your plant. Now, as you can see, I have given my, soil a very good drink. And you'll also be able to see that I haven't filled up my pot right up till the brim. So I still have, I think about an inch or so left in the pot. Okay, and that's because I'm going to lay all my seeds here and then cover it ever so lightly with another soil layer. Okay. Now, if you are new to container gardening, I do have a video on how you can choose the right pot for your plant. I will include that link as part of this video, so you can follow that link and get some more information on that process. Now, as you can see, I've got these seeds which I had soaked, which I had pre-soaked, and now I'm just going to lay them down in my soil. I'm not going to put them down too close to each other. Okay, so you want, a few centimeters apart. As you can see, I'm just like loosely dropping them. I'm not kind of really measuring it out, but if I take it closer, they have been spaced apart, okay? And it's important to do that because it needs that space to be able to grow. Okay, now as part of the second video, I will be covering, how to protect these plants, what the progress from this particular batch has been. So be sure to subscribe to my channel for that update. And in case, while you're dropping these seeds, one does happen to clump next to each other, just pick it up and put it right into the spot. Now that's a close-up of how I've placed all my seeds. Just a quick tip, the seeds, the coriander seeds, I soak them just in normal tap water. If you do have highly limescale or high in fluoride water, then make sure you use a neutralized version of water, like distilled water or something like that. And the soil I have moistened with rainwater. Now the final step in this process is just to cover your seeds up lightly with a little bit of soil. Now you don't want your soil layer to be too thick, okay? So you don't want your seeds to be absolutely buried inside with like a thick layer of soil. You just want them to be, covered just underneath it, okay? So as you can see, I'm just tapping it out lightly so all my seeds are covered and sitting, not that deep beneath the surface. I do need just a slight other layer of soil because as you can see, my seeds are not being fully covered. It's still kind of, poking out from beneath the soil. So just another very, very thin layer of soil is what I need in this case. Now, as you can see here, all my coriander seeds are well covered with a thin layer of soil. And just as we had pre-moistened the soil, we're now going to give our little seeds that we've just planted a good soak as well. So now my garden has rainwater, so that's what I'm using, to water my plant. But in case you don't have rainwater, you can also use, just normal distilled water as well. Now, while I was moistening up the soil before, I used my hose directly, but now I'm actually using a little watering can, and that is because I don't want to disturb the seeds that I've just planted. As you can see, even with a very light touch, they do tend to come out of place, okay, because it is a very thin layer of soil. Okay, so I'm just going to push them back in its place now and just water gently. Okay, so we don't want the seeds exposed, because if they're too exposed they won't grow, and also birds will get to it before it even gets a chance to root. Okay, so well, that is the process of planting your coriander seeds. Be sure to come back for my subsequent parts on how to protect your seedling, also how the progress of this particular batch has been, and in subsequent series how you can harvest your plant and save the seeds for later use. Well, if you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.